This year, a lot of folks think this is our best shot at changing Congress. Of course, that all depends on the caliber of our candidates.
Hey, you! Hey, get away from that! I'm endorsing John McMillan because he gives a rip about Alabama.
Igor! Igor!
Yes, Doctor!
Candidates have been operating on the public for over a year, trying to cut through the mundane to earn your vote. And they've used some interesting techniques.
She quit working for us and worked only for herself.
As CEO, she laid off 30,000 workers and shipped jobs to China.
I don't owe anyone anything.
I don't owe anyone anything.
You run for office and the assumption is, oh, I know what to do. You don't. I didn't have a plan for California.
You have been inundated with them for months. We'll look back at whose ad campaign was most effective because the candidates know the day has come. If there were ever a time to pull out all the stops, that time is now.
Drastic times require what? Drastic measures, yes! Who said that? Thank you! Drastic times require drastic measures!
I'd certainly say those were drastic measures. All the candidates people have been talking about and everything you need to know right now on The Filter. Hello again, and welcome to the Filter Election Special. During the next half hour, we're going to look at some of the unique campaign commercials from around the country, and we'll take a look at a few of the speeches that you will never forget. But let's get started at home. The two major races in California were for governor and Senate. In every campaign, there are key moments that can make a difference.
Here are the candidates for best moment of the 2010 political season. Is it A, revelations of Meg Whitman's former illegal immigrant housekeeper?
She said, I cannot help you. And don't say anything to my children. I will tell them you already have a new job.
Is it B, someone in Jerry Brown's camp calling Meg Whitman a whore?
I've been warned that if I track down the pictures, they'll go to Whitman, and that's where they go, because they know Whitman will cut them a deal that I won't. What about saying that? She's a whore. I will say the campaign apologized promptly, and I affirm that apology tonight.
Or is it C, Carly Fiorina caught making fun of Barbara Boxer's hair when she thought no one was listening?
Lauda saw Barbara Boxer briefly on television this morning and said what everyone says, God, what is that hair? So yesterday.
Well, the question is, were any of those a difference maker? Our contributors, former editor of the LA Daily News, Ron Kaye, and Doctor of Social Ethics, Charlotte Laws. Our pictures are furnished by Skype. Charlotte, I'll start with you. What do you think the key moment of the campaign was?
I think C, when Fiorina made the comments about hair, because first of all, it shows that she's extremely superficial. This is not a contest for the president of the Women's Hair Club. Yes. It shows that she is kind of one of the mean girls from high school, which many of us hated. And this is behind the scenes. It's different from a negative attack ad on your opponent, which everybody understands as part of the game. And you don't really feel like one person really wants to attack the other. But this is behind the scenes. This shows what her real personality is like. So I think it really hurt her. And if you have loose lips and you can't be careful what you say in public, in this world with the technology that's everywhere, cell phones, etc., you should hire somebody with masking tape to follow you around. That's what she should have done.
Ron, do you agree with Charlotte, or do you have a different key moment?
I just can't go along with that. I think Fiorina's standing in the polls on election eve would be much higher if she spent the whole campaign making fun of Boxer, making fun of this, making fun of her hair, making fun of her voting record, making fun of her work ethic, and just making fun of her. This was the most empty and meaningless campaigns that I've ever seen in 30 years in California. But I don't think there's any doubt when Nikki, the illegal immigrant housekeeper, does her plaintive cry of abuse, and then Whitman not handling it well, fumbling over whether they had any knowledge, didn't have any knowledge. I don't know why she just didn't pay her, $1 million and send her home for the whole campaign when she fired her. Instead, she threw her out and was a time bomb out there. I think it was just an inept campaign in all regards.
Well, first of all, I want to say, first of all, that
Charlotte, 10 seconds.
Yes.
Go ahead, 10 seconds.
First of all, it was total negative campaigning between Boxer and Fiorina. And secondly, I don't think Meg Whitman could have handled it any better. If she was really in a lose-lose situation from day one when Nikki walked through that door, if she'd fired her immediately and had her deported, called ICE, she would have been called incompassionate and a horrible, mean person. And if she had let her stay on, then she would have been a criminal and violated the law. So it was a lose-lose from her from day one. And I think she handled it the only way she could.
All right, let's move on now. Let's talk about the commercials from the campaigns. As they say, image is everything, or during campaign time, destroying the image of your opponent may mean more. Each of the candidates, the major ones, used a focused approach. Meg Whitman, who spent more of her own money than anyone in the history of politics, blanketed the airwaves with attacks on Jerry Brown and how bad it was the first time he was governor.
So, who called Prop 13 a fraud and a ripoff? Jerry Brown. Who raised the gas tax as governor and pushed for higher sales taxes? Jerry Brown.
What did you lie about when you were governor?
It's all a lie.
What did you lie about? What did you lie about?
You run for office and the assumption is, I know what to do. You don't. I didn't have a plan for California. You say you're going to lower taxes, you're going to put people to work, you're going to improve the schools. You're going to stop crime. Crime is up, schools are worse, taxes are higher. I mean, be real. I didn't have a plan for California. It's all a lie.
Jerry Brown went out there and took credit for the fact that the people of California voted for Proposition 13, which lowered taxes, which he opposed. And now he's going around taking credit for it. He raised taxes as governor of California. He had a surplus when he took office and a deficit when he left. He doesn't tell the people the truth.
Now, Brown took a different approach, zeroing in on Whitman's lack of political experience.
Wouldn't it be nice if every time Meg Whitman told a lie, her nose would grow? Newspapers report the claims in this Meg Whitman ad are false, and she knows it. Taxes went down under Jerry Brown.
30 years ago, anything was possible in this state.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for different results.
I have built businesses.
I built a business.
Met the payroll.
Met a payroll.
I entered this office beholden to no one except you.
I will owe my office to no one but you.
I don't owe anyone anything.
I don't owe anyone anything.
We do not have a revenue problem.
We do not have a revenue problem.
We have a spending problem.
We have a spending problem.
Rebuilding California.
Build a new California.
Rebuild California.
Let's build a new California.
We need to run the state as a business.
Running this thing a little bit more like a business.
What's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst thing that can happen?
They should have called that deja vu. In the Senate race, the challenger, Republican Carly Fiorina, harped on the fact that Barbara Boxer has been in the Senate too long.
Do me a favor. Could you say senator instead of ma'am?
Yes,
it's just a thing. I worked so hard to get that title, so I'd appreciate it. Yes, thank you.
Soon, her elitist self-image grew so that it overwhelmed the Capitol and drifted west. Westward, to tell us all how to live our lives. Why our hard-earned money should go to her to spend. She quit working for us and worked only for herself.
The incumbent, Barbara Boxer, made jobs the key point and continued to hammer home the point that as CEO of Hewlett-Packard, Fiorina eliminated 30,000 jobs.
Carly Fiorina. As CEO, she laid off 30,000 workers and shipped jobs to China.
China, India, Russia, Poland. I know precisely why those jobs go.
Because Fiorina shipped them there.
I had to pack my bags, and I was out the door that night.
We even had to train our replacements.
She didn't need 5 corporate jets.
$100 million for herself. Fiorina never cared about our jobs. Not then and not now.
I'm Barbara Boxer, and I approve this message.
So 4 very different approaches. Whose approach was the most effective in the governor's race? Whose approach was the most effective in the Senate race? Ron, we have 2 minutes. Go.
Well, I think the Republicans absolutely blew it. They didn't have a narrative they were telling anybody. It was all over the map. They're hearkening back to his great 30 years ago. He's an old political hack. Boxer's an arrogant whatever she is. And then you compare that to the very sharp, specific narrative that Fiorina shipped jobs overseas and made $100 million doing it. And the sharp narrative that that Whitman, in their own words, how could they run the same words through these candidates, is nothing but a clone of Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's a 25% popular governor, and another fabulously rich person. And it's just not much of a storyline, and I think they damage their campaigns. It's going to take a massive grassroots Republican turnout to turn it around on election.
Charlotte, we have 1 minute. What do you think?
Well, first of all, Fred, please call me ma'am. I've worked very hard to earn that title.
Just don't call me Mr., okay?
I think that the Jerry Brown camp did a better job against Schwarzenegger. I think that both camps, when they used their own words, their opponent's own words, was the most effective thing. And that ad that you showed where Meg Whitman was compared with Schwarzenegger was really powerful, because Meg Whitman's biggest weakness is the fact that she's not been firm on the issues, that she's wishy-washy, that she's hollow, that she's disingenuous. And it plays to that point. It also compares her with Schwarzenegger, who has only a 23% approval rating, which is the same as Gray Davis had when he was recalled. And it hasn't worked with Schwarzenegger. So I think that whole message really, really works very well. As far as the senatorial race, I really feel that both camps didn't do a very good job. And it's pretty much all negative ads, as far as I can tell, in that race. I do think that when Carly Fiorina talked about criticizing Boxer for saying that comment about "please call me Senator," that took a lot of nerve. I was really shocked that she did that after her hair comment, which was truly the most arrogant thing I heard in all the campaigns.
All right, Charlotte. Ron, thanks so much for your insight. I really appreciate it tonight.
Thanks, Fred.